Hey y'all, Caius here. I don't really have the time to do a traditional devlog where I edit things out, but I still wanted to give you guys an update, keep this fairly consistent, even though I know I missed last month. So, I thought I'd just go ahead and take you through kind of the project of Circle of Orion, sort of show you where things are at. Now we're going to start by going through what currently sits as the game's prologue. Now, keep in mind, this is all still very early on we're in the horizontal slice phase, which is kind of getting a full version of the game, beginning to end, in a blocked out, super minimal form. So nothing is remotely close to final production, but still wanted to show you where things are at. So, we'll go ahead and create a new game. And be aware, there's still a ton of bugs, so we very well may have engine crashing at some point or another. Alright, and well, obviously, a lot of this is, I won't give any details as to what's going on, and a lot of this is tentative to change in the future. Some of this is even relics of an old version, like, for example, those 3 characters you saw initially. That was, the idea that initially there would be, you'd be able to kind of choose your starting class, well, your starting class in the game. I'm not sure if I'm going to include that at this point, because sort of that system has changed, but we'll see. I'll also skip through most of the dialogue, so keep the story a bit of a surprise, but so yeah, this is kind of the opening part of the game. We're pretty limited on your mechanics. Really, the only thing you should have here right now is the mini-map. If you look up in the other corner where you have levels 0 to 0, we can ignore that for now. I'll come back to it later. Let's get through the story. Now, there very well may still be a number of bugs here. But here we have a bit of a glimpse at the cooking mechanic, which I don't remember if I've showed off yet, but this will be a pretty core mechanic to the game. I'm thinking mainly cooking will be how you get most of your consumables in the game, things like potions and ethers and whatnot. You may have the option to buy some of them, but I think mostly it'll be through collecting items and crafting them. So put more of an emphasis on cooking consumables. Alright. And stuff happens, and we get to the prologue. Very inspired by how Fire Emblem Three Houses, but mainly how the Trails and East games do the prologue and the chapter system and chapter title cards and stuff like that. So here we have our first dungeon. Finally, we can see more of the mechanics. Now, again, this very well may crash. I will go ahead and try and save, even though I don't think saving works. Oh, maybe it does. Okay, I'm not entirely sure. It was broken the last time I checked it. Also, there we go, our first crash. So yeah, obviously stuff is, that's part of the process. Stuff is very much still a work in progress. Alright, here we are again in the first dungeon, and we have our full inventory with more party members than we're supposed to have. And admittedly, it's probably darker than it's supposed to be. Like, even I'm having trouble seeing, but so we got a few different things. We can attack, which is mostly just useful for attacking enemies on the field or breaking boxes and stuff, which is not in as mechanic yet. But, obviously, you might have noticed I've changed the character model from the anime style to this more realistic style. This is placeholder as well. This is also not final, but I just wasn't happy with how as a temporary thing the anime looking model was looking, so I switched it out. There's also some holes in this set because I have been reworking. If you look up at the top there, you'll see a couple of icons, and that's something I've been toying around with is quick select, basically quick select menu. So you can hit tab and open up the normal menu, or you have hotkeys to open up other menus. Like there's one for the map, which is a quick travel thing, which I'm not going to use just yet. There is stuff for, let's see, 0 is from settings, I believe, which we're going to ignore. 1 for equipment, which I don't think I have anything right now, but I can at least cycle through the characters. You can see their stats, elemental affinities. I'm still working on the elemental system, but that's a pretty key component to here. Or the last one of the quick menus to show off. Early work, but we have a skill tree. This is kind of what I've decided on for the sort of progression system in the game. The idea being that if you look at a game like Chrono Trigger, or which is kind of largely what I'm trying to go for, sort of Chrono Trigger or Radiant Historia. So that's what I'm looking at for character ability progression right now. We'll leave the building navigation. Let's see if we head down. I don't think anything will... Ah! Okay, well now we get to look at battle system, which is totally broken, as you can see. I've been the code. So the code for the battle system is based off of the one that's currently on the marketplace, and I've been rewriting it to be much more modular and much simpler. And when eventually that's done, that'll go on the marketplace as well, to an update to the turn-based combat. Combat is totally broken. Nothing works basically, because it's all being reworked. And that's also because I added in, as you might have saw, enemy AI, where they'll actually charge at you in combat. So, but I can use the fast travel to go to the exterior and take us into the overworld, which I will do. Those are supposed to be gone. They're there for a cutscene later. So let's go into the overworld. And we have that is supposed to be gone. That's the temporary airship. But here we go. The overworld with a, pardon me, in sort of a Ni no Kuni was kind of the inspiration for this. You have more of a chibi-looking character on the overworld, who will not look like this. This is placeholder, obviously, as is basically everything. But so yep, as you might expect, you can go through I have a turbo button to help me get around faster. You can go explore different places. Hopefully this won't crash. And let's see. It crashed! Of course it did. So yeah, a lot of crashing. That's kind of the main issue to need to be ironed out bug-wise right now. If we pull up the actual folder where I've got everything, go to maps, locations. This right now is all the areas in the game that you can go to on the overworld. And there's still a bunch more to do. But like these are all areas that are pretty much all blocked out. If only in a very simple, in a very simple block. Like there's areas might look like this, where it's a pretty simple. Get out of here, you stupid thing. You have a pretty simple point A to point B. Yeah, you might have areas that look kind of like this. This one's actually, as far as blocking, is probably a little farther along because it sort of is in a blocked out format where it'll with final art it'll sort of have a similar structure to everything. So largely the past 2 months have been me trying to finish up the outline for the story of the game, and then getting in blocking in all the areas in a very, very simple format. This is actually much more blocked out than I would normally do, but in a very simple format, so I can at least go from point A to point B and trying to get through the entire game. I have the quests for the first prologue and the first 3 chapters, which right now I'm looking at 7 or 8 chapters. And we have the prologue and the first 3, the quests all made up for them. They don't all have triggers, and all the dialogue and stuff is finished, or all the encounters. While I'm here, I'll kind of show off how I did the quest system. I designed the quest system sort of similar to how I did the party system. Look at all that broken foliage. Anyway, if I go to the outliner, scroll down, it's collapsed. The game mode. So all the game systems are under the game mode. You see here I have the party system. That creates an instance for every single party member, which we can see them here, and actually will show up their the member data. Similar thing to the quest manager, where it creates an instance for every single quest in the game. Since there's not too many, there's probably going to be maybe a few dozen quests in the game, so that's only a few dozen actors. So the game, at the start of as soon as the game starts, it automatically scans the project folder and creates an instance for every single quest file. And it'll automatically set them to deactive. But then what's nice is because of editor functions, when I'm playing the game, I can just go in here, select a quest, and this is chapter 1, and then hit begin quest, and it'll automatically start it up for me. So it's a really nice, quick way to debug the game and run through it. And if I scroll down to you can't see this, but if I go to the chapter 1 folder, which I'm using Logic Driver Pro, if I pull up an instance here, you can see it's running basically the quest machine for chapter 1, which is all that. Alright, next I want to show off is some of the update to the environment art. Obviously we have the character model here, who's still temporary, but is an overhaul. But then I worked quite a bit on creating this grass or environment shader, inspired heavily again by something like Genshin Impact. And I'm pretty happy with how it's come out. The grass, I think, blends really nicely with the ground. I desperately want to know... I want to know what you guys think about it, though, obviously. But yeah, I'm going for more of a Genshin-ish style. You can kind of see that with the trees as well, and the rocks and stuff. I think it all blends together fairly nicely. Could certainly use more detail, more variety in like the grass and stuff, but it's I think a solid start. So that's one thing I worked a fair bit on as well. So the last thing I want to show off is not something that's even specific just to this project, but it's a new update that's going to be coming with Omega that I'm using with this, which I'm calling linear event sequences. So basically, what these are, it's primarily three new things coming, but I'm calling it the linear event sequence. Essentially, it is a way of creating sequential events directly in the editor without needing a third-party plugin. Like you can innately use Omega. This is heavily inspired by the event system in RPG Maker, because I find that to be very, very nice. That sort of you can just run linearly through events and stuff. The way it works is essentially you'll add this struct called linear event sequence, and then you'll create these custom events that you can just then create a sequence for. So for example, a standard dialogue would be you add a dialogue line, hello world. You could add let's add another line and say, how are you? The way linear sequences work is you can if you just go in here and look up play linear event sequence. Right here, you can connect up the linear sequence you created. You can also specify what index you wanted to start from, typically 0. Just set up the subsystem, and then it'll run through all of your events in order. And when it finishes, spits out the finished. Now there'll be a few more systems coming to go along with this. One is a save choice condition check, I believe I called it. Save check. It's essentially a way of quickly checking game state conditions from whatever your active save is. So for creating branching story events and stuff like that. So here we go. Omega save conditions. It works in a similar way. So essentially what you can do here then is plug that in. You can create custom saves, run through them. So we have heavy armor, and do we have a robe? Or robe 4. Basically, and the way this works is you can, it'll run through this and see if it's true, and you can also change it from and or. So it says, hey, if all of these are true, if all of these are correct, then return true, or if one of them is correct, then return true. We get the save, and then we can get save subsystem check or custom save conditions met, and it'll just run through and check and make sure all those conditions you customized are correct. And lastly, is the third thing that'll be coming along to complement all this is the linear choices, which linear choices are just that. They're similar to the linear events. They're a way of custom blueprint choices, which we'll do normal choice for this, that you can add in here and say good and bad. To pull that out. And so you can essentially create things like dialogue options, but it gives you a bit more freedom to how you want to customize them. You can create specific styles of options, specific ways you want them to run. For example, I have a default option. I have one for purchasing something, which I'll have the text here. This will be like for when purchasing items. Buy copper. Then I can specify how much it'll cost. 1,000 whatever. And then I can, in a similar way to playing linear event, I can pull off from here and get play linear choice, connect the subsystem again. And what you'll have is the instance class, and a choice instance class is just any function you want to run for that specific instance. So for opening up a choice menu or things like that. Then you have something for when it's selected, and you can get the index and the choice itself. So that's about all I had to show for this devlog. This month's devlog shoutout goes to Kitsune Fury, who is making a 3D platformer on Unreal Engine 5 where you play as a ball, rolling around, doing your thing. It's a very nice looking game, and I've really enjoyed seeing how he's gone about solving certain problems, specifically when it comes to creating assets and creating the environments and using Blender to do that. It's a bit unconventional, but I very much enjoyed watching that process, and the game does look fairly fun. So be sure to go and check out his channel in-game. Sorry it's been quiet. A lot of the work I've been doing for this has not been very glamorous or stuff I can show off well, and that's why there hasn't been a lot of updates in that regard. But I am still working hard on it, and been a lot of improvements in addition to the stuff I showed to Omega Game Framework that are coming soon. And again, I'm also wanting to make more tutorials. I know I've been rolling those out slowly, but it is all the kind of the process is anything I'm adding to Omega for my own use, I'm putting out on the marketplace as well for you all to use. And it's turning into a really, really powerful system, to the point where honestly I'm not even needing to use many external plugins or make big changes to it, because it covers pretty much all my needs. So yeah, thanks all. That's about all I got. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this, supporting all I do. I really appreciate it. I will talk to you all later. See ya.